So with this being said, normally I look at the 1 hour time frame. So whenever I'm looking at the 1 hour time frame, the first thing I try to notice is where is current price. And then from current price, where are my where are my closest highs and lows from current price? So first we're going to point out this one. So this is our current high. So right now we know this is a high. And I can already see it's a higher high. So I'm just going ahead and mark higher high. And from this higher high, normally I would either go back down from where it started because this is that level of support that we need. That level of support is where all this bullish momentum came in from. So I definitely want to know where that bullish momentum is going to come from, because let's say if we look for sales later on, this will be that first thing that we'll look for, especially for a target, because this is where that bullish momentum came from in the first place. And you can see how I have my sessions on, and you can see how London session plays a big role in trading GU, especially when you trade it in session. You can see that there's a lot of momentum and a lot of movement. So keep that noted for later on. So with this being said, from this low, so now we have this low, this higher low actually. We have this higher low, and the reason why I say that is because you can see here was a high, and then from that high, this was our previous low, so our previous level of support. But what is very important now is that we have our higher high and our higher low, so we can confirm that this is an uptrend. And from here, we need to focus on what happens next. So after the higher high is created, we can see that price ends up selling down and creating this level of support. This level of support is still a higher low. So this higher low is higher than the previous one, and this would tell us that price is still in this downtrend. And from this level, since we have current price, it hasn't broken anything in between here. So what I would normally do is mark these up, normally with my yellow boxes. Boom. And now I would wait for price to break out either my higher low level or my higher high level, because remember, there are sellers sitting here and then there's buyers sitting here. And with that being said, we would look for which one is going to take most control of the markets. We know that if price breaks under here, then that means there are no buyers here. And if price breaks above here, then there is no sellers here, right? So as we continue, we see that volume kicks in for London session. So now we have a low. So this London session is the indication. Normally when the indication happens during session, that session is going to push down for that day, and then the correction is going to come later on in the day. Sometimes you can catch an indication and correction on the same day. But if it doesn't happen, don't be stressed out. The next day or even out of session, it'll start to make that push back up, which is super cool. Especially on days like Mondays and Tuesdays and even Fridays, price makes that indication, and then coming into the following day, it'll make the whole move that it wants to make, or probably 2 days in advance, it'll make that final move. But with this being said, price ends up looking for a new level of support, and this level of support, bruh, the cops couldn't be any louder. But this level of support is created, and since this level of support created, we can see that buyers are sitting at this level. And since buyers are sitting at this level, this lets us know that if price falls under this level, this lets us know that there are no buyers sitting at this level anymore holding price up. But for the time being, since price is still above it, price still has the potential to buy up. And then we have this lower high as well. So I forgot to mention this. This is now our lower high because it is lower than the previous one. So as we see here, lower than the previous high. And then we have that fall. So this will make this a lower low. Right. So here, lower low. So lower high, lower low. So this determines now that price has switched from an uptrend to a downtrend. And this is what we overall want to look for. We want to look for these swing highs, because they're overall going to tell us what trend we're on. And since they're following off the higher time frame, so since we're trading 1 hour, 4 hour, sometimes daily, these are normally going to hold way stronger than trading off the 5-minute, 15-minute for your structure. For your entry, 5-minute, 15 minutes is good, but for the overall structure, you want to use like 1 hour, 4 hour, or daily time frame. So here, price is still above this level. We look for a correction back up to here, right? But since price has fell short, that means that this is a good thing. So most people say, hey, price doesn't push all the way back to the previous level. in some cases, and that is okay. That is honestly 100% okay, because price is not always going to do that. But this is okay because this lets you know that the sellers are getting stronger. They're not letting price have the chance to even push any higher than the previous level that it broke before. So in this case, price ends up making a level of resistance. Now, coming into this London session, this is tradable by even scaling down to that 5 minute time frame and then breaking it down from there like how we normally do. So looking at price with this resistance level, we can see that price has this resistance. Boom. A small high is broken, which is okay. It's cool. We don't really care too much about it. We can see that price ends up making a level of support. Once it makes this level of support, we can see that makes a new low, corrects, and then coming into London session, back under that yellow level that I have here, we see that once we made this indication, correction, and then coming into London session, we can see that that continuation happened under this level. So this is a possible trade. This is definitely a possible trade for the scalpers. You will put stop loss here, and then you will be targeting the levels down here. And the reason why we're targeting the levels down here, because that is overall where that low was made, and then price ended up correcting. So you can see the uptrend started. We have that. I'll just go ahead and mark them all, right? So we have that support. Once we have that support, we have a higher support. So that lets you know you have a higher low. And then we have another higher low. And then price is still pushing up, corrects, and then starts to break, higher high, support level, new resistance, comes back down, or these resistance make this level of support. So even here makes this level of support in here, and you can see it break down under this level. So these are also confirmations to let you know that price is breaking under this level, trying to sell. Here is where we see buyers kick into the market for price. Buyers kick into the market, push price up, which caused this high, but then that high fell short, and we can see the lower highs kicking in. So overall, all I'm doing is just reading the buyers and sellers, reading the levels. So overall, I'm just looking at the level, determining if buyers are sitting here or sellers are sitting here. Obviously, buyers are sitting here and sellers are sitting here to push price down. So I'm overall looking at the reaction and then playing based off that. But that's just a simple trade that you could have took throughout the whole London session. Whenever we trade this way, whenever we trade based off the higher time frame, scale down to the 5 or 15, when we do this, we are normally going to trade trends. So you can always catch yourself ending up in a trend that you can hold long term, which is what I want you guys to learn overall. Let me make sure. Okay, am I good? Let me, because bro, last time you guys won't even understand. Okay, yeah, I'm good. Perfect. So, all I'm doing is scaling down to that 5 minute time frame. If the 1 hour is bearish, then I would go and find a bearish momentum or a bearish movement and bearish structure on that 5 minute and 15 minute time frame. So that's all we did for this London session. And then with that new low throughout the session, you can see price is going down still. So how you can do the scaling out or how to exit is normally your target will be here. So this will be your first target, and that's already a 1 to 3. And since you're aiming for that 1 to 4, 1 to 3 area, I normally go for 1 to 4s. You can, trail your stop loss after this. Me personally, I don't like trailing the stop loss, but for some of the beginners, it is good to, trail your stop loss and, learn how to take profits. But throughout that whole day, I would have probably been holding throughout the London session. So once the London session ended, which is roughly, let's see, we're still going through session. We have that big push. London session ending. Still looking for that London session to end. And London session ending would have came right around here. So right around here, if I'm even still holding this trade, there's a lot of momentum that came from price coming back under this level. And we can obviously tell from the 5 minute time frame. So if we go to the 5 minute time frame, remove this, you can follow price just like this. So follow it with the lower highs of the 5 minute, boom. And then once you see this, price makes a lower high and breaks above this, and you can exit based off that. So if price is making lower highs on that 5 minute, and once it breaks, you can go based off that if you already hit your target. If you haven't hit your target yet, in this case we already have, Everything after this, you just need to follow with a 5 minute or 15 minute. So I'm pretty sure this was a 15-minute pullback. So if we scale, yeah. So the 15-minute made a low, scaled back up, retested this level, and then dropped again. So this would have just overall been a good trade. No matter where you closed at, if you would have closed at the lows, or if you would have closed here, or if you would have held for the whole day and closed here, either way, it would have been a good session for you. But what that overall showed us was that on that 15-minute time frame, 5-minute time frame, we can make that entry. So overall, that caused price to make a new low in the market on the 1 hour time frame. So now we have a new low on the market. And the reason why this is our low now is because we can see buyers kicked into the market and push price up in one direction. So overall, we will wait for price to continue to build that bearish level of support, or that bearish level, and then start to build up and start to give us that push to this level of support or level of resistance now, and hold above these levels. The only thing with this is what people have been saying in the videos and comments is sometimes price makes a low and then it makes an indication to the upside, or it spikes out somewhere or grabs liquidity, and how do they avoid that? So overall, as long as you're trading with the volume, you kind of avoid all the liquidity problems. There will be sometimes, like let's say on news days, where liquidity in the markets during session is still very volatile, and those are just things that you have to take with trading. Trading inside the volume times are going to be very risky because price is moving super heavy. But as long as we're sticking to the higher time frame, we overall can avoid some of the noise that is presented in the markets throughout the session opens, or throughout the sessions with volume. So as we continue, price is holding this level. This London session comes in, kicks down just a tad bit, and then pushes up overall. So it ends up pushing up above this level. And remember that level we was talking about earlier with the higher low? Notice how that level ended up becoming, you see how buyers were in control and push price all the way back up to this level. Look how that level plays now. Look how that level plays now. So overall, we end up having price push down. This London session probably would have been a loss, because I'm pretty sure it consolidated the whole session, and that's okay. Trading is not going to be 100% trading this way, but overall, we know that under this level, price has the potential to sell, right? So since price has the potential to sell, we'll come back the next day. We'll count this London session as a win, and then we'll count this London session as a loss, right? And then coming into the following day, so the following London session, we see that price is coming under this level, and we'll scale down to our 5-minute, 15-minute time frame, go to London session. We see that London session kicks off being bullish. Even though it's under this level, we can see that London session kicks off being bullish. So now we're not in this trade. The only thing that's going to get us in this trade is price to turn bearish. So what we're going to do is continue to mark our highs as price is making them and wait for price to turn back bearish. So we're going to continue. Price is still making highs. Boom, price is still breaking those highs. And boom, notice how price makes a high, but that level of support that was made based off that high being made. So let's go here. Notice how price, if we scale in, price made a high, made a support. Failed to make a high, failed to make a lower support. So in this case, we can't say that this is bearish because it hasn't made anything. So now we're not trading because it's in between a high and a low, right? But then price makes a new high. So now we're trading in between this, and then price makes a level of support. So now we have this level of support and this high. Now we're going based off this. So overall, as long as you have a high and a low, that's what you're going to go based off of. So since we have this level of support, now this new high is made, and we're going to go based off this high and this support, because that's what we have in front of us to show us buyers are here and sellers are here. So since that happened, what I wanted to show you is look how price is starting to break under this level. This is very important because now we know London session, price is breaking above this level. I am getting ready to sell. And the reason why we're getting ready to sell is because now we have a lower high, price is starting to sell, and we overall can see that the trend is changing because price is breaking support. Remember, price is not going to break support just to be bullish long term, right? if we're seeing the 1 hour is bearish and we're trading in session and the 5 minute and 15 minute are becoming bearish, then this is letting us know that, hey, we're able to place a trade based off that break, put our stop losses above here, scale back out to that 1 hour time frame to get our target, which is that new low. And once we target that new low, that will be overall where we are swinging our trade to. Now, the safest way, because this is how I do it, this is normally how I do it, and I've been trading for 4 years, and I've seen the market during session, change trends and then overall go to those swing levels. So I like to, try to, take my chances, take the risk to get into that trade early. But the more easier and more safer way to do it is waiting for price to come down to that level. So coming down to this level of support, once it comes down to this level of support, you're able to enter off price breaking that level. And you can see that there's a lot of volume because there's buyers sitting here. So you see that reaction towards the buyers. Once price gets to this level, the reaction from the buyers is pretty strong, but the sellers are way stronger under these levels. So since that happened, we can see that price ended up continuing under this level, and you're able to take that trade successfully under this level, or even from the change of structure on that 5 minute time frame. So remember, the whole strategy, the whole point is to use the 1 hour time frame, get on the 1 hour or 4 hour time frame, determine what the trend is, have that trend make an indication showing which direction it wants to go. Once it shows which direction it wants to go, you overall want to say, okay, price is indicating that it's becoming bearish, so I will look for signs that price is becoming bearish. But price is also going to correct once you have those indications. So as soon as you get the indications, price is going to correct. Once it corrects, you'll scale down to a 5 minute to 15 minute time frame, and then you will look for price to go from that bullish to bearish. In this case, all we did was we seen that the 1 hour was bearish. We scaled down to that 5 minute, 15 minute time frame as it was correcting. As it corrected, we started to see the signs of the 5 minute and 15 minute time frame becoming bearish, and we traded it in volume. So if we go back, we can see that the time that we was trading was London session, and look how London session turned out for us. And then overall, since we're trading on that higher time frame, so since the 1 hour is overall making its move, we can say that, hey, this is something that we can hold long term. Obviously, take your targets right here. So this will be your first target, and you don't have to set a hard TP. So that means you don't have to set it on your trading platform, but you can kind of set an alert here and see how it goes, and then overall continue to monitor it as it continues to go down. So TP here, hold a couple partials and see what price is going to do furthermore. So we have a swing low here, and we can say that, hey, we don't want price to come back above this level, right? And as we see price during another London session is holding as much as possible below this level. So we can feel comfortable with holding this trade a little bit longer, and just overall, monitoring the trade. We can see that price is making new lows, and we can see that price is willing to go down with those new lows. We just don't want price to make any kind of bullish structure, and we're still following price. It's still making those lower highs, and we're still feeling good about this trade because we have those swing highs. And I'm really good at doing it on the 15 minute and 5 minute time frame, marking up, because if we scale out to the 1 hour, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same highs and lows. But yeah,